पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Um, Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. Our Global Prabhupada. My name is Vamsidhari Das. Coming here for the retreat this weekend. I'm disciple His Holiness Rompas Swami Maharaj. I seek your blessings to be able to um, touch Bhagavatam and say, read from Bhagavatam and share something from the Bhagavatam. Thank you. Today's verse, text 21 from Canto 6, chapter 17. Eka srujati bhutani Bhagavan atmamaya esham bandham cha moksham cha sukham dukkham cha nishkala. Ana Mataji Natak. Eka srujati bhutani Bhagavan atmamaya esham bandham cha moksham cha sukham dukkham cha nishkala. So this chapter is titled Chitraketu. Um, Uh, this was part of the discussion where Parshit Maharaj asked when Uttaraasura was killed by um, Indra. Here, Parshit Maharaj asked how, being in the body of a demon, how he was such a Mahabhagavata, how did the bhakti happen? So then, um, Sukadeva Goswami was explaining the background story of Uttaraasura. He was none other than King Chitraketu uh, in the previous and he was looking for a son to please his forefathers, and he was not having a son. Finally, by the mercy of Angira Muni, he gets a son, but he only lives for so long. When he leaves the body, when the son leaves the body, he becomes depressed. That's when Narada Muni and Angira comes and consoles him and gives him the mantra, and actually he gets to see Lord Sankarshan just within 7 days of following instructions of Narada Muni. So this chapter begins with after having darshan of Lord Sankarshan, after offering prayers to Lord Sankarshan, what happened after that? It was mentioned in the earlier part of this chapter that he was enjoying in between the so many wives he had, and Prabhupada and our acharyas explained. Yes, he was surrounded by many women of Vidyadhar Loka, but uh, but his enjoyment was hearing and chanting about the glories about the Lord. So that's the stage of devotion he was one time he was flying in his airplane and sees Mother Parvati on the lap of Lord Shiva, and he tries to glorify Lord Shiva, but Mother Parvati um, curses curses him. So after that curse was pronounced, he gets down from this airplane and he was talking this section. Uh, so he says, Eka Srijati Bhutani. There is one Supreme Personality Godhead, Bhagavan Atma Maya, that is Bhagavan. But with his Atma Maya, with his own energy, he creates Esham Bandham Cha Moksham Cha Sukham Dukkam Cha Nishkala. Word for word, Ekaha, one, Srujati creates Bhutani, different varieties of living entities. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Atma Maya, by his personal potencies. Esha, of all conditioned souls. Bandham, the conditioned life. Cha, and Moksham, the liberated life. Cha also. Sukham, happiness. Dukkham, distress. Cha, Nishkala, not affected with the material qualities. It's a nice verse. Uh, um, Basically, this is uh, uh, most wanted verse is we say to say, because this verse clearly says that the main reason for everything that is happening is Krishna. Some people want to hear that, why am I suffering? Why am I, especially when one is suffering, why am I suffering? It's because of Krishna. He's just making me suffer. This verse also says the similar, uh, says in a similar way. That translation purpose says the Supreme Personality of Godhead is one, unaffected by the conditions of material world. He creates all the conditioned souls by his own personal potency. Because of being contaminated by the metal energy, the living entity is put into ignorance and thus into different conditions of bondage. Sometimes, by knowledge, the living entity is given liberation. In Satoguna and Rajaguna, he is subjected to the happiness and distress. Okay. So, um, Supreme Personality Godhead stays unaffected by the conditions of the material world, that is Nishkala, and he creates a conditioned source by his own personal potency. And because of the contamination of the material energy, the living entity is put into ignorance and bondage also. So by knowledge, living entity is given liberation, and by in Sattva and Rajaguna, he is subjected to happiness and distress. Purport Prabhupada says, the question may be raised why the living entities are situated in different conditions and who has arranged this. The answer is that it has been done by the Supreme Personality of Godhead without anyone's help. The Lord has his own energies, Parasya Shakti Vividaiva Shriyade, and one of them, namely the external energy, creates the material world and the varieties of happiness and distress for the conditioned souls under the supervision of the Lord. The material world consists of three modes of material nature: Satoguna, Rajaguna, and Tamaguna. By Satoguna, the Lord maintains the material world. By Rajaguna, he creates it, and by Tamaguna, he annihilates it. After the varieties of living entities are created, they are subject to happiness and distress according to their association. When they are in Satoguna, the mode of goodness, they feel happiness, and when they're in Rajoguna, they're distressed. And in Tamoguna, they have no sense of what to do or what is right or wrong. ఓం అజ్ఞాన తిమిరాంధస్య జ్ఞానజ్ఞానశలాకయ చక్షురన్మిళితమేన తస్మై శ్రీ గురవే నమః. నమో విష్ణుపాదాయ కృష్ణప్రస్థాయ భూతలే శ్రీమతే భక్తివేదాంత స్వామినితి నామినే. నమస్తే సరస్వతి దేవి గౌరవాణి ప్రచారిణి నిర్విశేష శూన్యవది పాశ్చాత్య దేశధారిణి. Bhagavatam is always sweet, any corner, anywhere we go. And not only it is sweet, it's very wonderful. This the topic in this chapter is complex in the sense that the theme goes up and down, because here King Chitraketu, he has seen the Supreme Lord, he has offered wonderful prayers, and how come he can do mistake? And yet Mother Parvati sees a mistake and she pronounces curse. That means there is a mistake. And uh, and in this current section, the Bhagavatam, through King Chitraketu teaches us how to handle our mistakes, or how to handle when we realize that we committed an offense. And after this section, he just fearlessly go, he thanks Mother Parvati, and then he fearlessly goes back to Godhead, goes back to his place. Then that also says he's, very, nicely situated in his devotional service. Then Lord Shiva kind of chastises or enlightens Mother Parvati about the position of the devotees. Devotees, for them, hell or heaven, they both are same, like that. And, he didn't really do a mistake like that. So, the theme goes, up and down, spikes. So this is an interesting chapter. And Bhagavatam is sweet and wonderful because Bhagavatam goal remains the same. Bhagavatam goal is to purify our heart and to bring us to Krishna. So it was mentioned earlier that King Chitraketu has a little pride because of seeing Sankarshan. So, you know, so it's getting purified. And uh, through that, we are getting a lesson what to do when we find ourselves in committing aparad or mistake. I really like from the fourth canto, there is an episode of uh, the uh, you know Mother Sati leaving the body because of Daksha criticizing Lord Shiva. And when that happens, Veerbhadra comes and the big you know calamity happens in the sacrificial arena. After all these things, the Devatas goes to Lord Brahma to take his help and shelter. And Lord Brahma explains it is not easy when you offend a devotee. You cannot expect happiness when you offend a devotee. And in that section, Gurujan Prabhu, in his unveiling his lotus feet, he really brings how to overcome the offense. Yeah, in that section, he says, how do we know when we if we commit an offense? He cites Jiva Goswami. He says that when one commits an offense, there are these um, five obstacles come in the life of devotional service. The five obstacles are crookedness, faithlessness, and attachment to things that destroy faith in the Lord, and slackening in devotional service, and pride in being devotionally advanced. So when there is an offense, we will see these five obstacles, or if we see these five obstacles in our devotional life, that means there is some offense. And he very nicely explains what to do, quoting different scriptures and proper purports and so on. Basically, the lesson I took from that section is when you commit an offense, you just, uh, you know, satisfy the person who got offended and just make them smile. That's it. One is free from all the reactions. It is so nice. I like that section. So here, King Chitraketu doing a similar thing. And he is doing a similar thing from text 17 onwards. Uh, basically, text 17. Um, text 17, he says, my dear mother, with my own hands folded together, I accept the curse upon me. I do not mind the curse, for happiness and distress are given by the demigods as a result of one's past deeds. So, Origen Prabhu was also explaining, I was referring to this section in his commentary, fifth and sixth cantos book. He was explaining that the devotee, when when he finds himself in trouble, the first thing he should always do is there are two things. One thing is he should seek Krishna behind, and the other one is acceptance. So this is what Chitraketu is accepting. I accept the curse upon me. I do not mind the curse for happiness and distress, anyways, given by Devatas as a result of one's past deeds. So basically, our happiness and distress is already set, you know. And then next verse he says, deluded by ignorance, the living entity wanders in the forest of this material world, enjoying the happiness and distress resulting from his past deeds everywhere and at all times. Prabhupada, says in the bracket, therefore, my dear mother, neither you nor I am to be blamed for this incident. So either we throw the stone on other person, you are the cause of my unhappiness, or we beat ourselves up also. So Chitraketu Maharaj is giving that neither you nor I am to be blamed for this incident. And text 19 he says, in this material world, neither the living entity himself nor others, friends and enemies, are the cause of material happiness and distress. But because of gross ignorance, the living entity thinks that he and others are the cause. Uh, Prabhupada explains in the 18th text actually the concept of this text. In the 18th text, Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita verse 327 that how Prakrute Kriyamanani, Prakriti is the doer, but a deluded living entity thinks himself the doer, and then he makes himself make his life more and more messy. So this is the similar theme Chitraketu Maharaj is telling. You know, neither the friends nor enemies are the cause of material happiness and distress, and only because of ignorance, living entity thinks he and others are the cause. And text 20, he says, this material world resembles the waves of constantly flowing river. Therefore, what is a curse? What is a favor? What are heavenly planets? What are the hellish planets? What is actually happiness and what is actually distress? Because the waves flow constantly, none of them has an eternal effect. These are all for time being, and we don't need to mess up our life further more for these temporary things. Or as Chitraketu Maharaj said earlier, we don't need to mess up our life more by seeing either ourselves as the cause or others as the cause. And that is when he comes to text 21. In this text 21, he's saying it is actually actually the Supreme Lord. uh, Supreme Lord is a cause. Eka srijati bhutani Bhagavan Atma Mayaya Esham Bandham cha Moksham cha Sukham Dukkham cha Nishkala. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, he creates all these conditioned souls by his own personal potency, and he arranges the system of contamination by material energy and living entity just in his put into ignorance and into bondage. Right. So Krishna's uh, Krishna's uh, you know Krishna's hand as a ultimate cause always remains the same, although there are different causes interimly, but Krishna is Sarva Karana Karanam, he remains the same. He is the one arranging all these things, and next text onwards, it will be explained further. Uh, although he is the cause, um, although he is the cause, but he is not responsible, for this, what is happening in our life. He just helping us whatever we are looking for, whatever we are wanting. And Prabhupada, as Prabhupada is explaining, that how uh, Krishna has a lot of energies, his own energies, and one of them is external energy. Through this external energy, he creates a material world and varieties of happiness and distresses. So that's explained very elaborately in the second canto, how when the jivas are in the body of Vishnu, he looks at Pradhan and sends the souls and their karma into the uh, Pradhan. And from there, the material nature will get divided, and then creation of false ego, and then further creation of rest of the things, and even the qualities and so on will happen. So that way, Vishnu remains the cause of all these things, and and these this good and bad are all happening because of the association and s- and association with the modes. When the living entities associate with mode of goodness, they will feel happiness. When they associate with Rajoguna, they get distress. And Tamoguna is basically one gets lost. So that's idea of today's text. Uh, to sum it, to sum it up, Chitraketu Maharaj is trying to pacify Mother Parvati, and the way he's pacifying her is whatever you say, it should be done. You know, you pronounce whatever you say, it should be done. And I don't have any blame either on you or on me. It's my destiny that I need to go through this suffering because of my past reactions. So be it. And more so, it's gift of the Lord. I'll accept it. And then if he next asks for forgiveness, then he goes away to that. So that's the overall discussion today. Anyone, I would invite others to please add, uh, enlighten in the discussion.
I have a question.
Yeah, bro.
Is there anything specifying if you do commit an offense, but unknowingly, and you don't know who you committed offense to, then what is the like price of the
What is the remedy? Yeah. So the remedy that is coming in this section and the remedy that was given in the previous the fourth canto with Lord Brahma in that section also is if you know the person, we go and make them happy.
Mhm.
If you don't know and we are seeing these obstacles in our devotional life, we have none other than to make Krishna happy. So that's what Chitraketu Maharaj is doing here. And that's the reason he is bringing Krishna into the picture. Uh, the first thing is uh, we also know Rupa Goswami gives this verse, right? Uh, the essence of all the rules and regulations. What's that verse you remember? Kinkara, Smatavya Satatam Vishnu Vismatavya na Jatuchit Sarve Vidhi Nishedashur Etayor Eva Kinkara. So all the Vidhis and Nishedas are all servants. Etayor Eva Kinkara. Sarve Vidhi Nishedashur Kinkara of one principle, that is Smatavya Satatam Vishnu. Always remember Vishnu or Krishna. Never to forget, never to forget Vishnu or Krishna. So, and Prabhupada is also given us the antidote if you don't know, you know, if you committed some offense, is to say the Om Vanchakalpadarbhyasya prayers every day. Makes sense? Mm. Yeah. Um,
Another question. With Maharaj Chitraketu going to pacify Mother Parvati because Mother Parvati was feeling bad that she cursed him.
mm. Mother Parvati?
She was regretting that she cursed him or something.
Yeah, she also regrets right after he curses. That's the reason it is mentioned in the previous text. She says, "My dear son,"
Mm.
and in the text 15, she says, "O impudent one, my dear son," she says. It is not, I'm not cursing you like, harshly. I'm cursing you like my son for your welfare because you should not be, doing this. Now take birth in a low, sinful family of demons so that you will not commit such an offense again towards exalted, saintly persons in this world. So it is explained that uh, Prabhupada says Mother Parvati was justified in punishing Chitraketu. For Chitraketu impudently criticized the Supreme Father Mahadeva, who is the father of the living entities, conditioned within this material world. Goddess Durga is called mother and Lord Shiva is called father. A pure Vaishnava should be very careful to engage in a specific duty without criticizing others. That's the safest position. Otherwise, if one tends to criticize others, he may commit the great offense of criticizing a Vaishnava.
mm,
And also, Prabhupada gives in this section uh, how we can save ourselves from these offenses by always wearing on our neck that Trinadapi Sunichana verse. So that is a like in the when uh, King Chitraketu was glorifying Lord Shiva, when it was found out he was there was little pride. So that's where Prabhupada explains that uh, we have to be careful. Uh, so we can be careful by uh, Trinada Pisunichana. This is what Prabhupada says. The difficulty was that Chitraketu, having become a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, Sankarshan, was somewhat proud at having achieved Lord Sankarsana's favor, and therefore thought he could now criticize anyone, even Lord Shiva. This kind of pride in a devotee is never tolerated. A Vaishnava should always remain very humble and meek and offer respects to others. Trinadapi Sunichana, Tharorapi Sahishnuna, Manina Manadina, Kirtaniya Sadahari. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Prabhupada says further, a Vaishnava should not try to minimize anyone else's position. It is better to remain humble and meek and chant the Hare Krishna mantra. The word Nirijitatma Manine indicates that Chitraketu thought himself a better controller of the senses than Lord Shiva, although actually he was not. Because of all this consideration, Mother Parvati was somewhat angry at Chitraketu. It's a nice chapter. It's very interesting. Like, you know, how a Mahabhagavata can commit an offense. And then, Mother Parvati is seeing that pride. But whereas the Lord Shiva and the sages don't see that pride, because it was said that this Lord Shiva remained silent, and then sages also remained silent. So if he was criticizing Lord Shiva, then our acharyas explained they would have closed their ears and must have gone away because they saw the intention of King Chitraketu. They were still there. So that's the nice part about the Bhagavatam. Just very nicely purifies subtle layers in our heart and really prepares us and brings us very clean to the 10th canto. And when we read 10th canto, then like, so good meeting with Krishna. Yeah. Um, so, um, thank you very much, devotees, for blessing this opportunity to be in Gita Nagari and, and to also uh, touch Srimad Bhagavatam. Uh, Hare Krishna Taraka Prabhuji.
Hare
Yes.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Thank
Krishna
you.
Prabhu. Accept my humble
Thank you very
obeisances.
much for the class. Um, I was interested to hear your quotation from Vilijan Prabhu, who you say he has given um, various symptoms that
Mm,
that can be observed when one has committed offense. And
yes.
I'm assuming we're talking now specifically about Vaishnava aparad, or is this offense in general?
Um, Thank you so much for your presence, Prabhuji. I seek your blessings uh, in my devotion service. The Borjan Prabhu, he, uh, I'm, please forgive me to say, but offense is offense, right, Prabhuji, whether it is general or Vaishnavas. And that's the idea I'm carrying. And this section is for sure about offense against Lord Shiva. And this section is, very clearly about offense on the Vaishnava. Uh, Burjan Prabhu basically um, he says that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kauravas Goswami likens offenses against Vaishnava to a uh, ma- Hadmata, a mad elephant. As a mad elephant on the loose destroys a garden, offending a Vaishnava destroys the growth of the creeper of devotion. Then he says, in Bhakti Sandarbha, Anuchata 153, Srila Jiva Goswami lists 5 obstacles to pure devotional service that results from offense. That's how he puts it, Prabhuji. So, this section really says for Vaishnava, um, but I'm also thinking, um, offense is offense, right, Prabhuji? Like, please enlighten me.
Okay, so it is Jiva Goswami that is citing 5 symptoms, if I understood you correctly. And could you repeat what those are? I know one
Yeah,
of them was pridefulness.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
what were the other 4?
The first one was crookedness,
Uh,
and the second one, faithlessness,
I'm sorry,
and the
what was
third
that
one,
again?
faithlessness,
Faithlessness. Okay.
and attachment to things that destroy faith in the Lord, and slackness in devotional service, and the final one is pride in being devotionally advanced. These are the 5, Prabhuji.
Okay. Crookedness, faithlessness. What was the third once
A-
again?
Attachment to things that destroy faith in the Lord.
Right.
Attachment to
Okay.
things that destroy faith in the Lord. Hmm.
Very good. Thank you.
And the fourth one is slackness in devotional service, and the fifth one is pride. Hmm. Yeah.
It. I'm a little bit puzzled about this. I will show you many different descriptions, some of which not contradictory, but different perspectives, different points of view. Um, I see that in many instances, it appears that the primary symptom um, of Vaishnava aparad is that one falls down in devotional
Mm,
service.
mm,
Um, Elsewhere, it is described that one loses one's taste for devotional service, and there are other symptoms, and obviously here, you are citing Lord Chaitanya's description, which is that one's devotional creeper is devastated.
mm,
So that implies a host of ill symptoms, that all of one's progress in devotional service is at least temporarily ruined, and um, and progress is Srila Prabhupada uses the word checked frequently. That progress is checked for the
mm,
time being.
mm,
So there are. I guess I'm curious. to understand why Jiva Goswami is describing this list of 5 symptoms, stressing them without specific mention, as far as I'm hearing, of the other various symptoms of offense. Have you any clue?
Hmm. Um, eh, I don't see an explanation. Burjan Prabhu was further ex quoting Jiva Goswami, how the crookedness manifests and so on. Um, even, and then he also brings Lord Chaitanya's instructions also, what to do as a remedy. But he doesn't list the others symptoms, Prabhuji. It is from the fourth canto, sixth chapter, actually. So he doesn't bring it up. I don't see it actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
good enough.
Mhm.
Fourth canto,
Yeah.
6th chapter.
Yeah. Fourth canto, sixth chapter. In the in the text 1 to 41, that's where Burian Prabhu brings this topic. When I was studying this, I really like the solution. I really like the explanation also. So that's the reason I brought it up here. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I thank you for your help with that. Um, yeah, I'm always very interested to hear all that I can about um, offenses. I myself am trying to overcome my tendency to commit offenses, and I have an unfortunate history of having committed all kinds of offenses. And part of my scheme for atoning for my offenses is to learn as much as I can about them and to try to share what I have learned with others so that they don't make the same mistakes. As somehow or other, even after many years of practicing devotional service, somehow or other I managed to evade a clear understanding of some of the fundamental principles um, of Vaishnava Aparad, and so I committed many offenses unwittingly. I was just ignorant somehow. In spite of reading and hearing, somehow or other, I just I managed somehow or other to fail to learn some of these important lessons. I don't know how that happened, but somehow or other, it wasn't until later when I suffered these symptoms of offenses that I began to dig more deeply to try to find out what has happened to me and why. And then I discovered, well, my gosh, there is so much mention of offenses and the repercussions of offenses. How did this not register with me? Surely I read it, but somehow or other, it just, the gravity of the matter did not register, and so I somehow failed to give it proper attention. Anyway, I thank you once again for your class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. I also thinking to share something. Um, I was hearing my spiritual master giving class on Agashura Leela last week in California. I was there, and in that pastime, when the boys goes into the snake mouth of the snake, Krishna gets bewildered, and uh, you know, Maharaj was bringing Jiva Goswami's explanation that Krishna's pastimes have multiple layers, and he was explaining two of the layers. One layer is lesson teaching, another layer is rasa based. And like when Krishna got bewildered, um, Jiva Goswami says that Ramchandra also got bewildered like this when Sita was kidnapped. And it was to teach to the world the lesson that association, too much association, attachment to opposite sex, leads to this painful circumstance like that. And uh, also, Jiva Goswami was telling he was also having Vipralamba Bhava, uh, that rasa experience also. So even in this pastime, um, um, Prabhupada explains in the previous verses, actually also in the Bhagavad Subodhini, it is said that Lord Sankarshana wanted Chitraketu to return to Vaikuntha as soon as possible. So out of fatherly affection, he inspired Parvati to curse Chitraketu to announce the great strength of devotee in seeing the curse and blessings, heaven, hell, and liberation equally, and to remove the improper life of Chitraketu as a leader of Vidyadharas, and increase Chitraketu's hunger for prema by the fire of separation, and bestow upon him the great sweetness of direct service to Vaikuntha. So, uh, yeah, so we are trained to be very careful, uh, to see the obstacles of our seniors and wonderful Vaishnavas. It is not within our upper view to understand, but for us to take the lesson part, and then, hopefully we will get qualified to come to the rasa part. So, but when advanced devotees are going something, and Prabhupada is also bringing in this purports that it is it is the arrangement by Krishna, Vishnu, to speed up the spiritual journey like that. Okay, that's it, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for all your blessings. Um, I'll offer small prayer to Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prestaya Bhutale, Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Sunyavadi, Paschata Desataya. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.